good morning today, 25th of May 2023, as we welcome all our viewers across the globe to the paper review. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the review for today. My name is Olalekan Ige, and in the studio I have with me.
My name is Morire Rebila Lawel, as you all know, and on today's episode of the program, newspaper headlines today on BGI TV Connect. We have a lot of interesting stories, and I'll be starting with the Vanguard alongside the Punch newspaper this morning. Once again, good morning.
And with me here, I have the leadership, then also the Premium Times and the Nation newspaper.
And the very first story on the Vanguard newspaper this morning is coming from the CBN governor, Emefiele. We will ask Dangote to sell forex at good rates, Emefiele.
Keyamo to Buhari, it's unconstitutional to appoint ministers of state.
Same rider is on the Vanguard on this morning. Keyamo to Buhari, it's unconstitutional to appoint minister of state because there is no law in Nigeria that stipulates that we should have minister of state. So it means we've been wasting money in this country.
We have a kind of duplication of functions. In the leadership for this morning, I have Amnesty Office set aside 1.5 billion fund to drive entrepreneurship for ex-agitators.
There was a drama between Gbajabiamila and Deputy as they clash at plenary. It's on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Then according to the the Commander-in-Chief General Irabo, Nigerians spent 8 billion to restore peace in Liberia.
From the banking world, UBA will continue to drive development, growth, unity in Africa, Elumelu.
And a good news for the people of Ekiti State. Oyebanji present 25 million to 23 communities for grassroots development.
I hope the money is utilized for the purpose, not some people taking it to their own coffers.
I wish so too.
And coming again, a rider, good radiance to Buhari. You came, you saw, you failed woefully. I'm not the one talking, but someone is also speaking to Buhari as he has come, he has seen, and he has failed woefully. And even saying to Nigerians yesterday, while inaugurating the custom headquarters in Abuja, that yes, he is going back to Daura, very close to Niger and far away from Nigeria. He's truly telling us from the rumor that took the air, or that rented the air last year and previous years, that yes, the Buhari we voted for 2015 isn't the Buhari at stake now. Very funny.
Now, Morire, based on the story you read yesterday, this is a reply from the Nation newspaper. Amusu replies Abiodun over relocation of Dangote refineries to Lagos.
Definitely, I was expecting that because the immediate past governor is not the kind of governor that will listen about his stories and get muted. He needs to just make some clarifications unknown to the sitting governor. Because since the margins of the sitting governor in the state, I do not think there is something tangible to show that yes, we have a living governor or a sitting governor all across the state. And I'm not backing anyone, but I'm only saying the things I've seen during the past administration of Amoson Ibikole. We usually see him on the streets, at sites, construction sites, ongoing construction sites. We usually see his actions, but this one I do not think averagely, let me say 70% of Ogun State residents even knows him, except they see him on TV. You should stop blaming anyone for his failure over 4 years now in the office. Do something and stop agitating for something which does not exist in your state.
Exactly. I think that is also related to the first headline I took this morning. So let's go straight into the news in details.
All right.
Now, we have it, as in, according to the leadership, Keyamo to Buhari, it's unconstitutional to appoint ministers of state. The outgoing Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo San, yesterday told President Muhammadu Buhari that it was an aberration to appoint a Minister of State. Keyamo stated this in his speech at the valedictory section presided over by President Buhari to mark the end of the Federal Executive Council, FEC, under his administration at a council chamber, Presidential Villa, Abuja. The Minister of State who thanked President Buhari for enriching his curricula vitae through the appointment, noted that some other ministers of state had been grumbling and unable to be bold and speak out. He said it would be difficult to assess the individual performance of the ministers of state since their discretion was shackled under that of the ministers, as any original ideas developed by the minister of state was subject to clearance by another colleagues in the cabinet before they could sail through the consideration by the council. According to the headline once again, Keyamo to Buhari, it's unconstitutional to appoint ministers of state.
I'll pick that thing right there, but before I proceed, I'd like to ask Keyamo this question. If truly Minister of State is unconstitutional in Nigeria, why did you accept it over the years? He used to be an activist supporting the poor masses.
Exactly.
Until he assumed the office and he gained his political appointment and he started being against the normal masses of the country, Nigerians, the poor Nigerians. Now he's attacking his principal. Is it not a shame and a game?
Quite unfortunate. And to add to what you said, Morire,
Yes.
why is he speaking out at this time of the...
I've said it
you know,
earlier.
it's why isn't that when he was appointed, he should have turned it down? He shouldn't have accepted the portfolio there.
At his career, son, senior advocate of Nigeria, he used to be the voice of the voiceless, hope
Exactly.
of the hopeless. He used to be the strength of those without strength. You were given this appointment, you never complained, you never attacked your principal. Nigeria is just a dramatic session, like Ere Oritage. It's just so shameful
Quite
about him
unfortunate.
saying all of those things after he has accumulated everything he needed to have done, because there is no hope for him that yes, this coming administration would consider him for anything. But it is still politics. Nigerian politics gives constitutional rights and powers to those at the ends of affairs. So I do not think there is any difference between Keyamo and those other state ministers or even the senior ministers themselves. I see this minister of state as deputy ministers, eating from the coffers of poor Nigerians.
Exactly.
And to my own story on Vanguard newspaper coming from the plenary, it's Thursday. An unusual spat broke out at yesterday's plenary in the House of Representatives between the Speaker, Femi Gbadagbiamila, and his deputy, Ahmed Idris Wase. The bone of contention was an announcement on the early adjournment of Thursday's plenary to enable the Speaker and the members to attend the commissioning of the permanent site of the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILDS, along the Airport Road, Abuja. But Gbadagbiamila, before adjourning the plenary yesterday, had asked that other paper for Thursday be made lighter, informing that the commissioning program to be done by President Muhammadu Buhari was fixed for 3 p.m. The Speaker therefore asked the Chairman of the House of Committee on Rules and Business, Asen Fulata, to ensure the other paper would not be heavy with activities. At that point, the Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Wase, said the House's primary function was lawmaking, stressing that the commissioning of NILDS headquarters was not sufficient reason to adjourn the House early at 2 p.m. If there was no difference between the two of them, I do not think this drama will come at the plenary. Exactly. Secondly, these guys are just there for their own benefit. If truly they are there as law-abiding citizens, there should have been dramas like this. Remember, at plenary some years back, at either the 8th Assembly, we had occurrence where members were throwing chairs at themselves.
Exactly.
Some were even boxing themselves. Nigeria see political appointments as a thing of their own heritage, not minding their own integrity. It is a shame to Gbadagbiamila and his deputy Wase bringing these to the sight of the whole world, because it's not only in Nigeria that they are reading what is happening in Nigeria. It's a global thing, a global shame. For how long are we going to keep having scenarios like this?
And you know, if you also look at it, you will discover that as this government is winding up, there had been a lot of uproar, a lot of permutation are taking place for the incoming government.
Do you know
and
why?
Those of them in the house are trying to see how they can outsmart one another So this has been part of what has led to what we are seeing now presently.
Outsmarting one another still boils down to the fact that everyone is lobbying for the next administration to have a political appointment, not to represent Nigerians. That's just it.
They are doing it for their own interest.
Exactly.
And from the Premium Times, we have this. The Presidential Amnesty Program, PAP, has launched a 1.5 billion naira cooperative fund. The Presidential Amnesty Program beneficiary, Cooperative Society Limited, to give strategic empowerment directly to ex-agitator of the Niger Delta. While officially launching the scheme of the Amnesty Office in Abuja on Wednesday, interim administrators of the PAP, Major General Barry Indiom, retired, said the initiative is a novel alternative economic development scheme designed to create a more viable means to sustainable livelihood for ex-agitators with socio-economic development of their communities and making them self-reliant. You know, what I see from this is that government is just, well, I won't say it is late already, but I feel they are trying to put up those measures, the amnesty program, you know, in order to see how they can pacify the various militants so that they won't disrupt the system anymore. But let's see how it goes, if it's going to make a positive impact.
All right, there's another rider coming from the Vanguard. Good riddance, Buhari. You came, you saw, you failed woefully. It is not a new thing. Even the blind knows that Buhari did nothing to the country but harm and killings to poor Nigerians. We're not condemning him, but we're saying and speaking from what he has done since 8 years in power. Now let me have the story. Muhammadu Buhari, president of Nigeria since 2015, will leave office on Monday, May 29, after 8 disastrous years. The late Chief Bola Ige famously coined the phrase "good riddance to bad rubbish," that, truth be told, is the best way to describe the exit of Buhari, his presidency and his government from power. For the past 8 years of Buhari's administration have been an unmitigated failure, a monumental waste of time, of resources, and the hopes and aspirations of a nation and a people. Through stewardship is leaving a place better than one found it. This is very, very poetic. But Buhari is leaving Nigeria for worse than he found it in 2015. Can we count the loss of lives, properties, apart from killing with guns? What about murdering? What about intimidation? What about rape? What about lawlessness? What about people stealing from the coffers of the country?
Exactly.
And all of his manifestos were totally against all of these occurrences, all of these experiences he brought to the country. Nigeria was a bit happier before his emergence as president-elect. We all thought that, yes, he is the Messiah coming. But we have forgotten that whatever the Lord has not chosen, but everyone or humans wants him, the Lord will go by what he wants.
Exactly.
But after getting what you wanted, or probably what you want, or what you aspire for, you tend to have something not in the realm of God. You can't imagine Buhari is still begging the Senate to approve 220-something billion naira for the sake of cases arrested during his time.
Well, I won't be surprised for hearing that now, because if you look at it, even let's take a flashback. Look at this current Senate. You will see that this Senate had been a kind of a mechanism in the hand of presidency.
Exactly.
You know, they always endorse whatever the president brings to their table.
Their own interest.
You get the point. So I don't see what impact Ahmed Lawan as a Senate president had made in this particular dispensation.
And even Minister of Justice Malami.
Exactly.
Buhari planted them at strategic positions so as for they themselves as a team to actualize their ambition, which we have seen. Enough is enough. Let them leave the office.
That's it. Quite
Now to the
unfortunate.
next story. The chairman of United Bank for Africa, UBA PLC, has reaffirmed the bank's commitment to spearheading the narrative and discussions that will lead to Africa's development, growth, and unity. Speaking at the 5th edition of the UBA Africa Conversations, Elumelu emphasized the bank's pivotal role in driving positive change across the continent and its dedication to unlocking Africa's vast potential. The bank also reiterated its commitment to promoting gender equality. So to say, UBA has been a tremendous bank for their services and the likes, but I tell you, Nigeria banking system still needs some improvement when it comes to culture about ATMs. Normally, in a developed world, you do not need to spend 30 minutes at the ATM gallery. Number one, for security.
Exactly.
Number two, make your cashing out or your transactions is under 5-10 minutes. Leave the place. Then number three, the way we manage our ATMs and the way we place them at places, it still needs improvement and growth. In the sense that there are some locations that at least they would need at least 2 or 3 different ATMs from different banks. Or even if a bank can just provide 3 ATM machines, at least to make ease. Like during the weekend, you do not expect residents to leave their comfort zone and drive or possibly catch a cab or a bike to a distance. What about emergency? What about time of needs? Let me just quickly go reach the ATM. In Nigeria today, there are some selections of places that if you get there, you still need to meet some queues.
Exactly.
Banking system needs to get improved.
Exactly.
I read a story that some banks were, their licenses were withdrawn.
Revoked.
Revoked.
Yes, you are right. You are right.
Even at that act, before that act, what were the improvements enjoyed by Nigerians?
Well,
And all of these banks that you revoke their licenses, have you, before giving them the going ahead, before giving them the permission to having these licenses, I don't know if CBN checks something like their longevity to work and to service and to deliver good quality service. You're revoking, the damages are there already.
and this question you raised bring me back to the question again that I think Emefiele will need to be questioned, because the number of banks that their licenses were revoked were more than even 50 or 60 banks, commercial
More than.
banks. And the question now is just like what you said. We need sanity in the banking industry,
Yeah.
just like the way Charles Soludo and Sanusi Lamido brought in the different innovation then, and we saw the way the banking activities were going on smoothly. So I believe that Emefiele still needs to be questioned based on some reasons for this. Then I also want to bring your attention to this news whereby the Chief of Defense Staff, Leo Irabo, he said something. I don't know why Nigeria has been able to spend this humongous amount of money in Liberia. They said Nigeria spent $8 billion to restore peace in Liberia. Let's go through the news. They said the Chief of Defense Staff, General Leo Irabo, has disclosed that the Nigerian government spent 8 billion naira to restore, $8 billion to restore peace in Liberia. He disclosed this while delivering his keynote remark at the event to mark the 75th year celebration of the United Nations peacekeeping operation on Wednesday. Since the first engagement of troops of our armed forces in the Congo in 1960, Nigeria has been unequivocally committed to the principle and objective of the United Nations. It has significantly contributed to 41 peacekeeping operations worldwide. Ever since, over 200,000 Nigerian troops have served in the United Nations peacekeeping mission worldwide, and Nigerian senior military officers have commanded some of these missions. Can you just imagine? If you remember the case of when they were going to Ecomong and the rest of it then, to bring sanity to some countries and the rest of it. Don't you think this money is just too much?
The money has no relevance.
Because when you relate it to the insecurity in our own country here.
Aside that, Liberia needs our services. Liberia should fund, not we should fund.
Exactly.
Number two, the ECOWAS are there. The world leaders are there. There are some countries in Africa that that are members of states to some international organizations. And if you are telling Nigeria to go to Liberia to restore peace and order in the country, they are the one to foot the bill, not Nigerian government. So it's all about stealing. Number two, if you are going to another country to bring succor, and your own country is bleeding blood,
Exactly.
your poor residents, your poor Nigerians in those remote areas who lives on farming and fishing are being killed by the herders, are being killed by unknown gunmen, are being abducted, and you're telling me you're going to Liberia and spending that huge amount of money. What are the things they use the money for? Number two, if truly you are seeking my service and I come to the round table talk with you, okay, this is what I'm bringing on board as regards machinery and ammunitions, it means you should be ready to fund the equipment I'm bringing over.
Exactly.
Not me spending. It's all about stealing. Even the army general himself, Lucky Irabo, is a partner to the party of the present administration and the outgoing administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. All of them are just key players. It's just like a football team where you have the goalkeepers, you have the defenders,
Exactly.
you have the defensive midfielders, you have the attacking midfielders. Then from the attacking midfielders, you have the guys on the flank. Then aside from the guys on the flank, you have the ones at the forefront who are the top strikers or supporting striker. So they have a team and they know what they're doing. If they're going to other countries to bring succor to them, what is happening to your
their
own
own
insurgency
country.
in your country?
I
Now
think
to
that
the
would
next
be the
story.
big
Oh,
question we
exactly.
need to ask.
We
this
keep
government.
asking these questions, but no answer. Nigeria is a country that loves talking, speaking, but no answer. No action. Now to the next story. With the Dangote refinery set to deliver its first product in July, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, the person I feel that the incoming administration needs to arrest, because during the no cash syndrome,
Exactly.
so many people died. We had series of charges from our monetary transactions. The POS guys made a huge success in a country that has rules and regulations.
Exploitation, yes.
People keep exploiting themselves. And you're telling us that, yes, with the emergence of Dangote refinery set to deliver its first product in July, the governor of Central Bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, said yesterday that the refinery would be persuaded to sell foreign exchange earnings to banks at a good rate. Why? What stopped him from making the CBN functional to satisfying meaningful poor Nigerians, other than those in governments? Those in government, like the governors, the ministers. I can't imagine when the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, confirmed that one of his colleagues as a sitting governor was at a bank. The money meant for the state for that day, he alone withdrew the money. And the bank manager was able to allow him withdraw the money, to the detriment of whoever comes to the bank that day to have access to the new currency notes. So now, if he's now clamoring, speaking like a messiah now, have you forgotten the pains you inflicted
Nigerians experience
on Nigerians? Are these people just there without brains?
And that's the reason why, I don't know, the EFCC and the ICPC, well, since they are subject to the president, I think they won't be able, until when those agencies are independent of their own, that is when I think they will be able to discharge their responsibilities.
Even if they are independent on their own, there are constitution that binds every commission in Nigeria.
Exactly.
And any other country. The law is always above anybody. Not because you have immunity as a president or as a governor that the law cannot take you. What happens to those in UK, in US, in developed countries, when they see that they have failed from the manifesto they presented, they resign? But in Nigeria, you would never have such occurrence.
You're right.
Number two,
You're right.
if EFCC needs to work, there was a publication from the outgoing governor in Zamfara State that said an accused the EFCC boss seeking a bribe from him.
Matawali.
Yes. Seeking a bribe from him, that is Abdurrashid Bawa, EFCC boss, seeking a bribe from him. So now my second question to all of these commissions, anti-graft agencies is that all of this money they arrested or they have been getting from people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Take for example, I am being arrested now and I was charged for fraud. And probably I have stolen, let me say, $300 billion US. Are you telling me the money they get from my account will be as exactly the figure they pronounce to the publication? Example of the NDLEs as well. You hear them today, they arrest some narcotic dealers, stuff like that, with 3 points something kg of cocaine and drugs and cannabis. We see them burning. Is it very, very certain that all of those seizures were the ones that get burned?
Well, our government would be in position to give us the best answer to that question. But I hope things will change as the new government is coming on board.
Now, to the Punch newspaper, I have the IPOB speaking. Nigeria will fall if Kanu dies in detention. The story is this. The indigenous people of Biafra on Wednesday threatened that should its detained leader, Nnamdi Kanu, fall in the hands of Nigeria, then Nigeria and our leaders will fall in the hands of Biafra. It's possible because a clueless country who rules and reign against whatever the court of is it court of appeal? No, there is this court that rules that Nnamdi Kanu should be freed. Some months back, or almost a year now.
I think it's court of appeal.
That Nnamdi Kanu should be released. Still, DSS detained this guy. They stop his medications. They stop him from taking his bath. They stop him from eating well. And you expect his people not to agitate? Definitely they will agitate. They will cry and threaten the government of Nigeria.
But government might have some intelligence reports on that, why he has not been released. But the truth of the matter is, I think the last time I heard about some things about the issue, Zekome, Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, then, you know, he was like saying that, okay, if at least the government can even permit him to just go for his treatment or things like that. But I believe that government will always work based on their intelligence reports. And, you know, apart from that, if you look at the issue of this IPOB and the rest of it, you see the mayhem they are causing in the southeastern part of Nigeria. So government wouldn't want to take it for granted.
What is the fact to show that the IPOBs are the one doing this killing? What is the facts or the account that shows that Nnamdi Kanu is the one giving these orders of these killings? What are the glaring facts to show that these unknown gunmen are not being sponsored by the governors and ministers and even the presidency?
Well,
I'm not supporting IPOB, but I'm saying that if there is a rule of law or pronouncement from a court that is above every other citizens of the country,
yes,
the rule of law should stand. If the rule of law states, release this person, upon all the charges the federal government brought against Nnamdi Kanu, he is not guilty of any. So to say, from the court. The only one I can say is grievance or very, very bigger is a treasonable felony.
Exactly.
By him jumping the bail and he got arrested at Kenya and brought back to
Nigeria.
Fine. And the court has ruled that you should release this young man. If you want to have an MOU with him, tell your boys to lay their arms. If truly they are with arms. If truly they are the ones behind the cloud of unknown gunmen, then he should just sign and let him be. We keep saying we spend so money on insurgency, on the herdsmen and stuffs. How many of them are being persecuted? How many of them were arrested? Take for arrested in one of the police stations in Oyo State. But till today, no one knows his whereabouts. All of the other killings and kidnapping. Imagine the man that comes back from UK to build an hotel in his hometown, Ogbomoso.
Okay.
He got killed.
Exactly.
And a very innocent Lautech student. Were they arrested? No, nothing is done. It's only when you see that somebody is not from your own ethnicity, that is when you start clamoring that yes, they should go after him.
And all those things took place right under this administration.
Why Nigeria is still a lawless state is that someone in detention at the prison ordering arrest of a broadcaster.
Quite unfortunate.
And you're telling me Nigeria working? Nigeria is working. Nigeria is crippling. Someone with a murder case in detention, and the FIB are chasing out an innocent man, bringing details of information to the general public consumption. What are his offenses? It is not a criminal case if he has gone to a station or probably a studio to speak out his mind on the case.
Exactly.
If truly the man is innocent, the case is in the court. Let the police just go back to their offices and do the needful than chasing an innocent man. If truly they want to work, what stopped the Interpol from working with other Interpol from another country where they can easily investigate the whereabouts of the son of this big man using his affluence and influence because you are connected to big men? Let us all remember that one day we will leave this world.
Exactly. And I think based on all you said now, and that's the reason why we want to enjoin the incoming government to make sure that there is need to overhaul all our security agencies, both the police and the judiciary itself. They all need overhauling so that government can bring in those people that will be capable to do the work and to do the right thing based on what the Constitution states.
I pray it works. What story have you?
Well, I think this one is taking us down to Ekiti State where there are smiles on the people's face, and it goes thus. Barely 24 hours after disbursing 915 million naira to pensioners in the state, Ekiti State Governor Mr. Biodun Yebanji has disbursed another sum of 325 million to 23 communities in his effort to drive development in the grassroots. The disbursement is in line with the state. Now, the 23 communities are the first batch of beneficiaries in 2023 from the Ekiti State COVID-19 Action for Recovery and Economic Stimulus Program, a collaborative initiative developed and supported by the World Bank. What did you say to that?
It's a nice idea. But we've been hearing about programs of such. My question to the governor is that he shouldn't act like others. There was a program brought from the federal government to every state in Nigeria. And individually, they changed from federal program to state program. The figure paid by the federal government was divided to a minimum, and the minimum token was the one paid to indigents of the states. So if truly this governor, Biodun of Ekiti State, Oyebanji Abiodun of Ekiti State, is willing to have a pious mind, God-fearing heart to the people who voted him, because I captured the election in the state.
Okay.
I was there. I saw how people wanted him in and how desirous they feel something's going to change for them when he emerges, and eventually he won the election. Even the tribunal, everything is still won. So now at least it is payback time. Do the needful to the people of Ekiti State. Do the needful to the innocent people who were in the sun for your emergence as governor. And if truly the money you budgeted for this scheme is to be duly spent, make sure the whole of Ekiti and its local government enjoys the benefits of it all. My submission.
And I also hope that, you know, this step it took is a very commendable one, at least to some extent. The various communities will feel the impact of government, and this will also serve as a palliative measures.
All right.
In also reducing the tension in the state.
A bit of entertainment story from Punch newspaper, just like a credit to the late Tina Turner. Tina Turner is best known as a trailblazing rocker, but Australia also remembered her on Thursday for a unique role in the history of rugby league in the country, as tribute poured in from around the world to one of the music's biggest names, who died Wednesday, aged 83, in Switzerland. Many Australians fondly recall their influential love affair with the sport. She played a unique role in probably the most iconic sport marketing campaign in our history, said National Rugby League Chief Executive Andrew Abdo. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. To all lovers of Tina Turner all across the globe, we say RIP to Tina Turner.
Now let's quickly take a look at this. Buhari to ministers remain in office till May 29. President Muhammadu Buhari has asked his ministers to remain in office till the last day of his administration. Buhari will hand over to President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29, 2023. There have been reports that the president has dissolved his cabinet at the valedictory Federal Executive Council FEC meeting of his administration. But speaking with reporters after FEC meeting, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture, said all ministers has been directed by the president to return to their offices and continue with their duties. What do you say about that?
Since the 8 years, what have we enjoyed? So if they remain till May 29, all I pray for is God's intervention. Because as soon as they have these political appointments, all they do is to fly abroad, go for medicals, go for visits, tours, go for seminars, all of these travelings. Who pays if not Nigeria? I believe one day they will think like an ordinary Nigerian, just like we right now, and have a change of heart. My submission.
It's a pleasure. All our audience around the world, I hope you've been able to pick one or two things from the newspaper review today. So if you are so much excited and so much gained some things from what we have discussed on the paper review today, I hope and I believe also you join us tomorrow morning for another edition. My name remains Ige Olalekan once again, and I say you have a pleasant day.
Alright, before I call it to wrap from my own side, I'd like to talk about a little on sport with Flying Eagles of Nigeria and to the Young Azuris of Italy yesterday on the sporting scene, where they defeated Italy 2-0 at the ongoing 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. It's a very remarkable one. And if we're having a cook who can cook for those hours and it enters Guinness Book of Record, there's this Nigerian pupil declared Guinness World Record holder for most skips on one foot.
Wow.
Yes, let your comments rolls out to the comment section. We appreciate your love and acceptance of the program. Newspaper headlines today on BGI TV Currents. My name remains Morire Rebila Lawal. Love you.